Which you like better, these or these?
Joe, they're the same.
They capture different moods.
Middle-class Joe, Amtrak Joe, the uncle-in-chief. Joe Biden has spent nearly half a century working in politics and cultivating an image of a man you'd trust with national security and want to grab a beer with. Though, of course, Biden is teetotal. The former senator and vice president isn't without ambition, though. He ran for the Democratic presidential nomination in 1988 and lost. He ran for the Democratic presidential nomination in 2008 and lost. He considered a run again in 2016, but stepped aside after the death of his son, Beau. Could 2020 be third time lucky for Uncle Joe? Joe Biden was born on November 20th, 1942 in Scranton, Pennsylvania, into an Irish Catholic family, and lived with his parents for many years in his grandparents' house because his father could not find enough work. Eventually, the Biden family moved to Wilmington, Delaware, after Joe Biden Sr. found success as a used car salesman. In 1966, Biden married Nelia Hunter, who he'd met 2 years earlier during spring break in the Bahamas. They had 3 children, Beau, Hunter, and Naomi. While they were dating, Biden had told Nelia that he wanted to be a senator by the age of 30, and then president. And, true to his word, he was elected to the U.S. Senate on November 7th, 1972, just days before his 31st birthday. He had been something of an outsider in that race. Biden's campaign had no money and was mainly managed by family members, and he was up against a 2-term Republican incumbent. It was his ability to connect with voters' emotions and his youthful energy in contrast to his ready-to-retire opponent that sealed the deal. There was little time for celebration, though. On December 18, 1972, Biden's wife and 1-year-old daughter Naomi were killed in a car accident. Beau and Hunter survived with minor injuries. Biden considered quitting before he had even been sworn in, but was persuaded against it, though he had trouble focusing on work at first. A devoted father, Biden would commute 90 minutes each way from Wilmington to D.C. so he could be with his sons, and left orders that he be interrupted in the Senate at any time if his sons called. He never works on December 18th, in remembrance of Nelia and Naomi. In 1974, Time magazine put him on its list of 200 faces for the future, profiling him as self-confident and compulsively ambitious. 1 year later, he met Jill Tracy Jacobs, and they married in 1977. Biden made his first bid for president in 1987, aiming to be the youngest president since Kennedy.
I announce my candidacy for President of the United States of America.
And this party better understand full well that it's about time we change our attitude and we begin to change the attitudes of Americans about what their responsibilities are to the poor, about what their responsibilities are to other people, and about what our responsibility in the world is. And that requires changing attitudes.
His campaign began well enough, but was mired by staff infighting and accusations of plagiarism in speeches, and he withdrew later that year.
There'll be other presidential campaigns, and I'll be there, Oliphant. I'll be there.
From 1987 to 1995, Joe Biden was the chair of the Senate Judiciary Committee and oversaw the contentious confirmation hearing of Clarence Thomas in 1991.
As one person who has spent the past 2 years attempting to combat violence of all kinds against women through legislative efforts, I can assure you that I take the charge of sexual harassment seriously.
He initially kept Anita Hill's sexual harassment accusations from the public, and after she agreed to testify, did not allow any further witnesses to come forward against Judge Thomas. Biden opposed the nomination at both committee and Senate level. After being criticized for his handling of the hearing and the poor treatment of Anita Hill, Biden sought out women to serve on the committee. In January 2007, Biden announced that he would seek the 2008 Democratic presidential nomination, but did damage to his campaign before it had really taken off, when he was quoted as saying this about rival Barack Obama.
I mean, you got the first sort of mainstream African American who is articulate and bright and clean and a nice looking guy. I mean, that's a story.
The senator from Delaware had trouble fundraising and drawing people to his rallies, and made little impact in a race that included high-profile candidates like Obama and then New York Senator Hillary Clinton. After placing 5th in the Iowa caucus, he withdrew from the race, but was later tapped by Obama to be his vice presidential running mate. The rest, as they say, is history. Until now. Biden has the advantage of being one of the most experienced candidates, with name recognition across the US. He can also use his connections to Barack Obama, even if the former president never publicly endorses a candidate. Biden appeals to moderates and older voters, and could also win over the all-important African American vote from within the Democratic primary electorate. He may also be seen as one of the best options against President Donald Trump, what with his appeal to blue-collar workers who didn't vote for Clinton last time, and his reputation as someone not afraid to get in a verbal slinging match with the president.
He always ask me, don't I wish I were debating him? No, I wish we were in high school, I could take him behind the gym. That's what I wish.
His age might have once worked against him, but the success of the then 74-year-old Bernie Sanders and the election of a 70-year-old Donald Trump suggests that maybe voters don't care all that much about how old their candidates are, but more about the message they preach. Essentially, Joe Biden is a safe pair of hands, and that might be what the Democratic Party needs in 2020.
A man who embraces the tactics of our enemies, torture, religious intolerance. You all know, all the Republicans know, that's not who we are. It betrays our values.